Welcome to the Needy and Normal podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After hours of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for a better life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. Let's get needy. So I'm in a transition period right now where we're still in baseball season and we're about to go into college football season as well. So if you've listened to the first episode or you've looked at my website or followed me on Instagram, you might know we are a baseball family. We are actually more than a baseball family. It all started with baseball, but it has continued into other sports for my husband, the sports broadcaster. He has such a passion for what he does. He's so good at what he does. Baseball ignited this for him. He followed his dream. He made his dream come true. It's amazing. And then because he's good, he started to get other opportunities, and it's really cool. And it's a lot. It's a both hand. So he now does a full college football season. This is all TV. And then he also does several college basketball games in around the same time. Like kind of as football's ending, he does basketball kind of at the same time. And then when basketball ends, he goes back into baseball. Baseball flows into football. So when people say, hey, like, what do you guys do in the off season? Nowadays, I just laugh. I'm like, haha, off season. Like, that's funny. We don't have an off season. We used to. When it was the minor league days and early in Major League Baseball days, we would get to look forward to fall with Jeff being home. And occasionally when he was in the minor leagues, he would have other responsibilities and he would have kind of your more typical 9-to-5 situation, which was very welcome anyways, because his baseball season was travel with the team late nights, when they're home, playing at their home field. And so we've gone through a lot of different changes and a lot of transitions, and it's a lot. It's just a lot. And he really, really has to be so intentional with his time because it's so limited. So partly how I've learned how to do it, and partly from watching him, we've had to be really intentional about being present. And so being home from, a day game where he would have the evenings available, or, on a Sunday being home after a game, or on a Monday or a Thursday when he's actually off of work. And even when a Monday or a Thursday or whatever the day is runs into leaving that night to get to whatever city they're going the next day, especially in the summertime when those midday or midweek off days come up, we just have to be so intentional with our family time, with our couple time. I get that question all the time. How do you guys stay married? Like, how does it work to, have this crazy schedule, have this family to love and support and hang out with, and love and support each other, and be married and spend time together? And, the short answer is it's hard, but we figure it out. We make it work. And there are times where it's harder and there are times when it's easier. And we go through multiple transitions throughout the year. This is why I'm a transition coach, because I've gone through so many changes in my life anyway. But as a sports wife, as a sports family, we go through changes constantly throughout the year. So as I'm recording this, we're traveling into football/baseball season. And like I said, and then it just becomes football, and then it blends into basketball, and then we go right back into baseball. So we're constantly transitioning, from sport to sport, and with the kids' activities and, my business, and there's always things changing, and that's anyone's life. Everyone's going through changes all the time. For us, it just might be a little more. And I've had to be very independent and resilient and tough and raise children mostly on my own. My husband's an amazing dad, but again, he has to be very intentional with his time because it's so limited. So when he's home, his priorities are to be at home, to be with the family, to cook a meal for the kids or grill a meal for us. During the school year, he focuses on being able to take them to their activities any chance he can, take them to school any chance he can, help me with dishes and laundry and the dog. And he wants to be engaged and part of our life. So he's just got to be really, really intentional. Whereas, if you think of like a more traditional situation where there's two parents, let's say there's two parents who work. You get up in the morning, you get everyone kind of has their role. You get people off to school, the kids off to school, you get yourselves to work, you come home, you cook dinner, you hang out, you clean up, you do the bedtime routine together as a partnership, mom and dad and the kids, right? So that's a little more typical. Obviously, we don't have that because most nights I'm putting the kids to bed on my own. Many mornings I am getting the kids going on my own. But again, we plan ahead, knowing when Jeff's going to be around, and we make it work. And like I said, it's not easy, but we find our way and we learn as we go. There will be weeks where it felt clunky and off and we didn't quite connect, and there'll be weeks where we truly connect and it's great. And there will be times every now and then where we can actually plan a day together, plan a vacation. We try, and the holidays are pretty precious to us, but again, those kind of get tromped on by sports. So we just have to manage and try and get ahead of it, and like I said, be intentional. So being present is super important. And if we're not actively present in those moments when we're together, whether it's as a family or as a couple, we miss it. Time is something nobody ever gets back. It is not returned to you. It does not increase. It is precious. Live in the moment and be present, and all those cliches are really real. They're not just meant to be a tagline. Being present is something you have to practice, something that allows you to be focused in the moment. It matters, and we need it. We need it for our sanity. We need it for the sake of being grateful, to help ourselves feel joy and feel grounded, and it's good for your mental health. It's good to have a judge-free, focused, not distracted moment in time, especially when the moments you're being present in are the ones that really count, the ones that really matter, like spending time with your kids and spending time with your friends, spending time with your partner. So often we get stuck in the routine of our lives, and for some people, routine is very predictable, where you wake up, you go to work, you do the thing, you go home, you have dinner, you go to bed, and then you do it again, and it starts to be so routine that you miss out on stuff and you forget to pay attention to things because you're just in it. I've heard from a lot of couples where they realize, I don't remember the last time we had a date night. I don't remember the last time we actually sat down as a family and had dinner together, because there's all these activities and there's always something going on. And it's so easy to let life kind of take over that we forget to budget our time a bit, or at least pay attention to it and make sure we're making the most of it. For me, it's also about being grateful in hard moments, being calm when I'm finding that peaceful part of me when things feel like a lot. Because I'm doing a lot of parenting on my own, it's really easy to want to just get through it and get to bedtime so I can breathe because so often I'm worn out and it's a lot. There's just a lot. And so instead of just trying to get through it as quickly as I can, I do try and pause and pay attention to my life. And I think I have an advantage being a life coach and someone who teaches people how to do this. And I will have tips, so hang in there. But I still have to actively participate in my life. Pulling myself into the moment where, ooh, they're outside playing with a kickball. Maybe I will go kick the ball with them. Or, it's beautiful outside. Why don't we all go take a bike ride? Or it's raining out, so let's sit down and play a game together. And it's about intentionally spending time, but also paying attention. We pay a lot of attention to our phones right now, right? But we miss the value and the preciousness of paying attention to each other and to the moment. I will never forget, I took the kids on a trip back to Orange County. Jeff and I graduated from Chapman University in Orange, the city of Orange, and I remember we were walking around with my mom, who lives there now. It's really crazy to go back to my quote-unquote college town, and my mom lives there. But I remember we were walking around, and maybe it's because Jeff and I try so hard to be present, and believe me, we're very guilty of being on our phones when we shouldn't be, and our kids love calling us out. Maybe I gave them permission at one point to do that, but I remember walking around campus, and we were coming to a street, to cross the street, to go to lunch or something. And I remember my son looking up at me and he goes, "Mom, nobody's talking to each other." And I looked, and there was probably about 10 students gathered at the corner to cross the street, and not one of them was not on their phone. They were just staring at their phone. I get that this is the world we live in, but like all the more reason to be so intentional and so careful with your time and so careful with your attention. So when you talk about being present, it's a way to be focused and not be distracted. If you think about an athlete, for example, when they're playing whatever sport they're playing, they're paying attention in order to win or do a good job. They're paying attention to that only thing, that one thing. They're not multitasking. They're not on the phone talking to, a friend while they're hitting a baseball or kicking a soccer ball. They're focused right there on what they're doing. So the practice of being present is also about doing one thing at a time. So tip number 1, if you need to work on being more present, try doing one thing at a time. Try being focused on one thing at a time. And I know in this busy world, and we have to do all the things, and we have to get all the things done, blah, I get it. But if you focus on one thing at a time, A, you can be more efficient, and B, you can learn the art of being present and pausing or slowing down and still getting things done. And the art of being present with people can become that much more meaningful, because if you're having a conversation with somebody face to face, and hopefully there's still more of that happening in the world, paying all of your attention to them and making sure that you are present with them, it makes the conversation more meaningful. It lasts. Like active listening is one of those things. It's about being able to give someone respect too. So when you can completely focus on someone in a conversation, you're practicing being present because you're focused, you're not distracted, you're using active listening, and it strengthens the relationship. Okay, so tip number 2, practice active listening to stay focused and undistracted. And it's great for all relationships. So whether it's a working relationship, a romantic relationship, family relationships, whatever, if you can practice that active listening, that can certainly help you learn how to be more present and strengthen your relationships, whatever they may be. So time for a review. Tip number 1 was try doing one thing at a time, whatever it is, whether it's something with someone or it's a chore. One thing at a time instead of trying to multitask. It's a good way to practice being present. And then the second tip is just being an active listener. Another thing you can try is creating these moments to be present for. So I mentioned a minute ago, choosing to say, "Hey kids, let's go on a bike ride." I'm saying, hey, let's be deliberate about being together and doing something together where we're doing one thing, right, for the most part, and we're paying attention. Create those moments, whatever they are, and it could be putting something on the calendar as far as a day to pick an activity, or it could be a day to just do a task that has been on your list for a long time, and you can stay present in that moment, not distracted, doing one thing at a time. But you can also calendar moments with the people you care about, with your friends, with your family, with your partner. And this is something Jeff and I have to be very intentional about, is looking at the calendar and saying, when can we push all the to-dos and everything out of our vision and just focus on each other. The other thing you can try, if you don't already, is practice meditating, practice breath work. It's something where you have to focus, like I've said, on one thing. Being present and practicing being present is so good for your mental health. It is, I have this bit from Psychology Today. Mindfulness and just being aware of your mind and your body and where you are in your moment and just coming into your body. Mindfulness is defined as being aware of how you are experiencing the present moment without judgment. Okay, that's part of it. Being present, noticing it. It could just be a moment to look at the trees, feel the wind on your face, look at the grass, watch a squirrel go by. It could just be paying attention to nature. No judgment, just noticing, right? Mindfulness is so much about just noticing your experience wherever you are, whatever is happening. And the benefits of mindfulness include less stress, less emotional reactivity, which is something I need being a mom, having better focus, right? So when you're giving attention to the mindfulness and in your experience and whatever moment you're in, having those moments of being present, you are actually learning to have better focus. And it can be spread out in other parts of your life too. And then, of course, enjoying your relationships more, right? So when you're able to be mindful and aware and focused and present, your relationships will benefit. There's a whole bunch of research on this stuff. I'm telling you what, being present, it's one of those things where you've heard the story of the old man on his deathbed. And you hear things like, what are your biggest regrets? Or what is your biggest piece of advice? And so much of the time when you hear these stories, you hear them say, spend more quality time with your family or be more present. And you don't want that, right? You don't want to get to the end of the line and think, I could have done more. I could have paid more attention to my life, because the truth is, if you don't pay attention, if you aren't present in your own life, you will miss it. You don't get your time back. So even if it's silly, even if you're washing dishes, it's a great practice to just stop what you're doing and look around your life and just pay attention to what's happening and just practice these small moments of focusing on one thing at a time, or focusing, even if it's a thought, right? Even if it's something you've been meaning to consider. Maybe it's a decision you need to make, but giving yourself a moment in time to actually focus on that thing, whatever it is, you can learn more and more about what feeling present is like. Because there's one thing to actively make yourself be present, but it actually feels really good. It's a stress reducer. It has physical health benefits. This is all from scattered resources, but mindfulness has been linked to lower blood pressure and improved sleep and strengthened immune system, because being present is meant to basically calm you down. It tells your nervous system to chill out, and it does kind of seep out into other parts of your life and other parts of your body to tell everything, just chill out, we're all right. So it's not just about having a conversation with someone and be like, whoa, hey, can you pay attention to me right now? It's good for you. It's healthy for you. We need it. And we don't want to get to the end of the line and feel like we weren't living in our own lives, that we were getting up every day and doing the job and doing the things we needed to do. And we were so stuck in our routine that at the end of the day, we were just so much on autopilot that we forget what the hell we did all day or all week or all month or our whole lives, right? So it's about appreciating your life and finding gratitude. There's a whole podcast episode on that. Go listen to it. But it's about finding moments of gratitude. It's about finding joy and choosing to be happy. I mean, I wonder if you've heard this, when you find that internal peace and that ability to be happy, it's not because something has happened to like brought you to this place of sheer joy and happiness, which sometimes is the case. I get it. But often it's about choosing it. It's about deciding to be happy. It's about appreciating what you've done, what you have, who you're with, what your world is actually looking like, and you choose to be happy. I would love to say that most people could look at me today and say 10 years ago, I didn't think I'd be where I am today. And you get to be grateful for that, and you can bring yourself into that moment and be present with yourself and be grateful for the things you've overcome and the things that you've been able to accomplish, and appreciate yourself. So there's your gratitude, right? But that's also your moment in time to look around and choose to be happy, choose to be proud, choose to be at peace. So you may have heard, happiness is not about, everything getting better and better and better, which is part of it. It's about looking around, and instead of having expectations for things to be different, it's about loving or being grateful for how things are. So that in itself is being present, is taking yourself away from your future worries and your future thoughts and your future you. You're not there yet, right? We're always working towards the future. And then we're also always thinking about the past. We're always thinking about where we've been and what went wrong. Be here now, because if you really think about it, this is all we have. This is all we have, is right now, right this moment. I recently went to a Lindsey Stirling concert. If you don't know who Lindsey Stirling is, she's a violinist, a fiddle player who dances, and she just is amazing. She composes her own music. Anyways, I think she's incredible because she's utterly unique. That's the way I explain her. But she, in the middle of her show, has this moment of mindfulness and moment of being present, and she plays this beautiful song with nothing happening on stage, because the intention was for the audience to close their eyes and breathe with her and just be in the moment and be present. And her whole purpose of doing that was to teach us how to chill out, because that's part of what her music does, is like it's supposed to calm you, and it's supposed to be a listening adventure and experience, right? But she was so big on being present, and she said this is what we have right now, is present, being present right now with ourselves now. This is all we have. If you really think about it, the future hasn't happened yet. And the past is in the past. We have now. We have right now. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I told you all my tips. So create moments to be present, whether it's with yourself to go do something like sit outside, drink a cup of coffee, or go on a bike ride with your kids, or go have a drink with your loved one, with your partner. Create those moments and then take it further. Calendar those moments. Sometimes you just have to. Our lives are crazy and we have to calendar so much of everything. But anyone and everyone can take advantage of that. Calendar it. Put not distracted time, focused time on your calendar, again, whether it's with yourself or with somebody else. The third one is practice active listening. There's no judgment. You can be focused, you can have an open heart, you can have an open mind, you can pay attention to one person at a time. This is what I do in coaching, by the way. I am an active listener 80% of the time with a client, and I am so very, very focused. Which kind of brings me to the next thing, is doing one behavior or one task, one thing at a time. So whether you're giving someone a hug because you're comforting them, or you're sweeping the floor, try doing one thing at a time. It helps you stay focused. It helps you stay present. Okay? No multitasking. Multitasking is kind of I hate to say the killer, but it will take the present moment away, because when we try and do multiple things at once, we're not focused, and being present is about being focused. So if you think of focus and being present as one and the same, that might help. You can always try meditation or breathing exercises, because that gives you that one thing to do, but it also tells your nervous system to chill out. You can kind of go into that central peaceful place inside your body, and you can teach your body from the inside out how to be present. So those are some tips based on research that I have found, but also I have practiced myself, and I have seen work very well for clients as well. I want to be sure I share with you before we go that I have a group coaching program starting again this fall, very focused on getting through a major or smaller life change. It could be a career change, it could be a diet change, it could be a relationship change, career change, whatever the change may be. The point of this class coming up, and I will do multiples, is about helping you move through change easier, with more grace, with more understanding. So I teach you a lot about what am I going through, what is normal, and how to cope with different things that come up. And not that change is the same for everybody, but this class is designed to have interactions and sharing moments and a little bit of one-on-one coaching as well. But for the most part, these concepts, these modules will help anybody carry themselves through a life change better, easier, by taking care of their needs and tuning into their intuition and making good, healthy decisions and using boundaries. And so I'm really proud of this course. It's been very cool, and I tweak it and update it every time. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. You can send me a message on Instagram at ABL Life Coaching. You can find me at ablifecoaching.com. I would love, love, love to have you a part of that group. So if you're interested in the group coaching program, let me know. Your needs matter because you matter. So go find a way to practice being present, be intentional, be focused, put your phone down. As soon as you're done with this, go, do a little mini meditation, or go outside and notice how the trees move. Whatever it is, do something to practice being present. And, even speak some gratitude into your heart and tell yourself something that's just so good about life and is worth your time and is worth your energy and worth being present for. You are worth being present for. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have the most amazing rest of your day. Come back and hang out with me anytime. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Needy and Normal podcast. If you liked this episode, share it generously. I would so appreciate it if you would take a quick moment to leave me a review. And click that subscribe button so you won't miss an episode. For information about coaching together, visit ablifecoaching.com.